Hey, hello YouTube. I am here and I'm still working on my brother's pot holder. And I was looking through YouTube like I always do, and I came upon the book of Ezra, and it piqued my interest. So I started listening to the audio, and they say it was banned. And I don't know the reasons of why it was banned, but I believe there's no book is a bad book. And I don't understand, but I guess they don't. I don't know what that possibly was saying Ezra was the author and they're guarded these books. But I don't see any problem in this book. It has a lot of biblical references. And I'm gonna go get my yarn stuff together because I ran out of yarn braids. Honestly, I've been having problems with trying to get all this together. But anyways, I don't understand for a holy book why this is an issue. I mean, a holy book is a holy book, right? You would think that. So why would they want to ban such a nice book? But apparently they did. Alright, I'm getting my strings together. I'm braiding this yarn because I ran out of purple things here. Alright, I'm going to do 6 of these. And I'm bringing this. I'm trying to use all these yarn strings. But honestly, the more it sounds like the Bible to me. It sounds like it, and it's really a history of Jerusalem, where Jerusalem, ancient Jerusalem, was built and brought up. It has a lot of history, this book. So why everybody's hating on this book, I could not tell you. Because I don't see anything wrong with this book. It seems like to be a mighty fine book. It has historical references. It doesn't say anything against anything. It gives reference to God a lot, and it's protected. So I don't know why anybody would have a problem with this book personally. But I think on the edge thinking, I mean, I thought the Codex, the book of the supposed book of the devil, I thought was a nice book too. It didn't mention the devil except for one time, except for looking like it was symbolizing dualism. I don't think that's a bad thing, but that's just me. So I figure I just would talk about this. I mean, I get it that people are sensitive and angry about certain things, but it's a book. And it seems like a very harmless book. It talks about Jesus and his miracles. And it reminds me a lot of an extension of the Bible. Maybe it's a lost chapter of the Bible. I mean, we don't know. Things get lost in history. I mean, there was the Dead Sea Scrolls. And now there's the Book of Ezra. And it doesn't seem like this is a horrible thing. Oh, God. I am so sorry. I still can't. Let's talk about the boxes. Maybe this side's better. Even my braiding stuff doesn't want to even cooperate today. Alright, I'm going to start this braid, and I wanted to show you really here. I got to get all these together. I missed one there. And then I braid this out and try to get this as tight as you can. But I don't understand all this business where people hate books. I mean, when did this become a thing where people hate books? I mean, it's a book, and it doesn't seem like a bad book. It doesn't seem like, I don't know why it offends people. I just don't understand. Maybe it's because I'm just an optimistic thinker. I don't know. But honestly, this book, I was listening to the audio version. It reminded me literally of an extension of the Holy Bible. So I don't understand why it has to be an issue. But apparently this book was banned. And the Codex Gigas, they couldn't even make a copy of that. I mean, that was a very heavy book. And it was written very well. And say some of the greatest books can't be replicated in history. But I don't believe that was the book of the devil. I believe that was a monk's spiritual journey. I guess, in a sense, I guess that would be how a monk would do his diary. Because they are close to God. But Ezra, which is in the Bible, if he did write it, then kudos to him. I mean, he's just expressing the history of the Jewish race and all through Jesus and everything else. And I don't see how this is a bad thing. But apparently, people don't like it. And I don't understand why you wouldn't like such a book. To me, it wouldn't. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I thought it was very nice to listen to, and it kind of had a different account, like a backstory of the Bible, reminded me of from Ezra's perspective. And is it so horrible that Jesus was so great to so many that another person wrote about him? I mean, last time I checked, it was allowed. So why they banned this book, I don't know. I find it very silly. In the Middle Ages, they were burning books. And why they burn books? So people wouldn't have a better understanding of things around them. Sometimes people like to keep people unknowledgeable so they have more control over people. And that's what happens a lot through history. It really does. People literally will sit there and that's how they get you. This is literally how they do it. They don't want you to know how to read and write. They did it with slavery. They didn't really want to teach slaves to read and write because they didn't want them to be takers and they didn't want them to have the ability to do anything, which is wrong. Everybody should have the knowledge of being able to read and write, especially if the knowledge is there for you to have. It doesn't make any sense to me. In the book of Ezra, it just seems literally like they just didn't want to put it in the Bible for some reason. So far, I don't understand why they would. Maybe they were afraid because of some of the stuff he said. Maybe it was more truthful in some of his accounts. And people got angry because this kind of thing happens. It happens more often than we like to think, and it's sad, but it does. And it's a terrible thing when it does happen. I don't know why, but it does. And to me, it kind of breaks my heart. There's such a nice book out there, and they're trying to ban it. And no one should ban any kind of knowledge, in my opinion. I'm going to put this more under here so I can finish this here. I think if you should have a choice to read what you want, learn what you want, and do what you want. It's a part of free will. And if you don't have free will going for you, then there's something wrong with the whole operation, because free will should be a must. It should not be something that is taken from us. I mean, that's just my belief system, because I do believe that there's always supposed to be free will for everyone. And I'm a very much a fan of free will. I will always be a fan of free will. Alright, I'm gonna just take this here because I already know that if it gets too far, then I braided here. And I the same way I do that, I do this. And then just braid up because I need to finish this pot holder. So I'm gonna braid 3 of these and then sew a little bit on this one. But yeah, I thought this book of Ezra was. I thought the book of Ezra was very nice. And I like the Bible. I really do. I think it's one of the most positive books out there is the Bible. I think that it makes people nicer. It gives you it lets you see things from a different perspective and kind of gives you a morality code, which is nice because sometimes we need that as a society. There's some kind of morality code. And in society, we don't really seem to have a morality code a lot of times. People are just very corrupt in their thinking and everything. And it is truly sad how this happens. And I don't have all the answers, but I honestly think it's because at some point we just maybe it was a bad learned behavior from something. And we just think it's okay to bully people around to where they have to do this and they have to do that. Like I always say, no one's better than nobody in the world. Not at all. I'm only one person here just talking because I like to do this. Because I personally find it fun and no one tells me not to because of my free will. So, why anybody would tell somebody they can't read the book of Ezra when they have so many copies and stuff is beyond me. I feel it's a good, happy thing to have more things to read. Expand your mind, or maybe society just, where this book is at, they just don't feel that people should have this free will, possibly. I mean, that's another possibility. Because, I mean, I couldn't tell you exactly what reason it is, but why they want to ban it, I could tell you it's because that they'll say, well, this is a blasphemy of the word and that, but really is it? Just because one person said it? Because it's really not. Word is word. That's it. I could write a book, and thousands of years from now, you know, If somebody wants to read it, let them read it. Who cares? If you're dead, who cares? He wrote the book for someone to read it. I feel it. I mean, other people should too. I feel that like that. Okay, here we go again. Oh, there we go. I guess sideways is good for this camera. But people just have to. I was talking to my friend today, and she just doesn't have. People don't have enough confidence in what they have or their thoughts, and they just, they follow everyone else. People just need to find a spot for them and their own beliefs. And sometimes if you read stuff people don't want you to read and this and that, sometimes it just strengthens the beliefs. And then if someone says you absolutely can't do this or do that, that's when you're going to do it. People should say, well, we believe this, but this book says that. And then just let that person do whatever. Because honestly, they may just come around and say, you're right, but I did like reading this or whatever. Sometimes they come around. I don't know if it's out of fear people do this, but I'm just finding these things that are banned and everything, and I just think it's such a shame that people just literally suffer every day. And for what? It's like it takes a piece of their soul or something. I don't get it. But maybe it's not for me to get or not get. I don't know. It just seems like people have been conditioned to just go along with what everybody else says. What everybody else does is not you. And the thing with this book of Ezra, it seems like a very informative, well written book. And why not read it? And then I hear about the Holy Spirit. When you're blessed with the Holy Spirit, you do this and that. I mean, I guess I do believe in a higher power, but I'm not speaking in tongues. But I'm not going to discard anybody who claims they have, because that's not for me to judge. And right in the Bible says, don't judge other people unless you want to be judged. So I never, ever judge anybody for this reason. And the Bible's not wrong in that manner. It really isn't. I mean, why would you judge other people when you don't, honestly, when you don't have to? Because judging people isn't always a good thing. It really isn't. But I started it. I've read the Bible. I went to Catholic school, all this, 9 yards. And it does remind me of the Holy Bible. That it does. So, why this book is banned? I don't know. I mean, what are they supposed to do? Control what everybody writes? I wouldn't want to control what everybody writes. That has to be a job to give you a headache. You're better off just letting people have their own little free will and going about your day. Honestly, because people at the end of the day are going to do what they want to do. And the more you tell them they can't do something, they're going to go turn around and they are just going to do it. And that's it. But this book of Ezra is really nice. And in the Jewish communities, they do protect this book. They really do. And I can see why. It has an accurate history of the fall and rise of the temples, and it has a lot of history behind it. And history does repeat itself, and that's why it's always a good idea to have a written and oral history of things that you're doing and not doing. because something horrific might happen if they know exactly what you were doing, and the next person that lives there or whatever, if they can look for climate changes or whatever. And that's what things serve. And that's the whole purpose and goal in the world. So to ban a book that actually is giving a good historical recollection just seems very silly to me. It really does. But I'm a lover of books. The Codas Gigas I would love to see, but I would be afraid I'd spill Kool-Aid or coffee or something. I don't know if I want to be responsible for all that. To me, that just seems like it would be a lot of responsibility. It's survived all these thousands and thousands of years, and the book of Ezra has survived this long and it has very good caretakers. Because obviously they're guarding that book with their life. And I mean, it's a good thing they are. It's a very positive book. I mean, I don't see any problem with it in existence. I don't see how it could be a bad book. So to me, it doesn't seem like an issue. But again, this is just me. So, and I'm just one person. But thank you to all those people that are protecting that poor book because it, pardon my expression, but it seems like that book has been to hell and back. So, I'm just gonna do this. I know that it's halfway in the box, but it seems a little bit better like that. Okay, I'm gonna take this, string this up, and I did my 3 braids, so I'm gonna sew this in. I'm gonna try to do 3 rows every time I do a string to get this kind of moving and get this pot holder done. But it is all through history. People are always trying to ban knowledge. And to me, it's a shame to ban knowledge. I believe knowledge is it's something we need to know, and it's something that's precious, and everybody should know. People should know this. To me, I guess that's more of an injustice to be denied knowledge. Because if you get denied knowledge, you get denied a lot of things in the world. And it's just not a good, happy event when this happens, when you get denied knowledge. Because knowledge is everything. Having knowledge about things is what we do. It's what we do as humans. We keep baby books, we keep records. That's what we do. And there's nothing wrong with keeping a record account of Jesus. Obviously, he was one of the biggest people in that time of history. I mean, he wasn't, the biggest, but there was other people doing stuff too, but he was one of the biggest in that time period. So why not keep some kind of record of him? I mean, that's all I'm saying. So, I don't know. I don't see any problem in this book. I mean, it just literally goes through the account of Jesus and it coincides with the Bible. And if there is a difference, it's very minimal of the Bible that you're familiar with if you're a Christian. I don't see any harm in it. But sometimes, if you're too strict and have too many rules, especially with religion, it can eventually die off. And that's the thing about religion, and you want to not have to die off because, I mean, if you wanted to go for your children and children's children, just like Amish, some of the kids are tired of just wearing drab colors. So old Amish ways are starting to kind of go away, and it's upsetting a lot in the Amish community. But there always is change, and to every change, you should try to keep the positiveness of the history. And to sit there and ban the book is, I think, a little extreme. They have such a book that was written. That probably took him a long time. It really did. He probably dedicated a lot of years of his life before he died making this book. That's all I know. And I just feel that, in my opinion, people should not ban this book. And the Codex Gigas, they should not ban either. I mean, we will never see it unless you're a top archaeologist. And even then, you would have to be on the research team with that book because there's only one of them. So that would be kind of hard. But if they had copies of the Codex Gigas, it would be probably just one expensive book that people would buy and read. Because, I mean, I'm sure that they're going to eventually translate it. And I'm fine with that because that's what they do. They just go around translating things, and there you go. They do it all the time. You can get the Quran in English for people that, worship the Quran. Not worship, but that's the worst. That's the worst word for that. The people that read the Quran, and maybe it's not in the right language. I know they do have that in English if you were in America and you believe in the Quran. So, I mean, the book of Ezra, I think you can get here in America. So, I don't, but like I said, I just go with through, and when I see book banning and different stuff, it piques my interest. And I was very interested that that book was banned. But a lot of things, people that are small minded and scared and extremist are the ones that do seem to do these kind of things. I've noticed. So I guess beware of extremists if you really wanted to read this book, because I don't want you to get hurt to read this book, which I think it's silly. I mean, I could see if they stole something or did something that was awful or killed someone, but to read a book and get in trouble. I mean, my teachers in grade school would be excited if we everybody was trying to sneak around or read a book when I was growing up. I think any teacher would be excited. They would be excited that you're reading and learning. And in many ways, Jesus was a teacher, and he was literally putting Jesus in a very good light. He really was. You could tell that he worshipped Jesus. He had no bad intentions with this book at all. But yet, it gets banned. Right here. Alright, I'm just gonna leave it like this. It'll just sit there. Alright, now got my little needle here. Alright, now I'm going to finish this off a little. I still have some of this left, so I'm going to start braiding a row this way. And it's coming along. I can almost fit a pot on it. I was hoping that maybe, I don't know, maybe I just need to keep putting strings on it and make it bigger. I wanted it to make it wider. I was going to try to make it circular, but it may not happen. Alright, I don't know why I did that. I don't know why not did this. Alright. Alright, I'm going to cut this before the knot and throw this in my garbage over here. Alright, now I'm going to put this through. There we go. And that should go this way. Alright, now I'm going to take this and start sewing this right in here. And I line these up right like this. I'm going to put this up high like this. Put this lower like this. Like we're on a heel. There we go. And you can see exactly what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. Alright. Alright, I'm taking this and this. And I'm just taking the last stitch on this row over here and combining it with this row right over here. Alright. There we go. Doing that. And I'm just moving this over like this to this row. I don't know why this person is messaging me with times. It's one thing about social media. I get that we're on social media, and I do like to do these live streams, but I don't want to always. I'm not going to sit there and get involved with somebody from a whole other country. And most of the time, they're scammers, anyways. And they just love to mess with people on the social media. They do this to me all the time. That's why I don't pick up anything. I don't respond to them. I do nothing. But I take the last stitch here and the last stitch here, and then just sew it in. So easy. And it's nice and flush when it comes out too. And it looks like you literally did a row with the traditionally like you would with the two needles. I mean, old world stuff brought to the light. That's really what it is. Old world's craftsmanship, with a little bit of a shortcut. There. Because they used to have girls doing this back in the day because that's how they took care of their family when they had kids or whatever. That's how you would survive. Your mom would, in the Middle Ages especially. And then hopefully they were a better seamstress than me. Or you weren't getting a whole lot of stuff made for you. It's a funny medieval joke. Or maybe in another lifetime, when I was living in medieval times, hopefully I was better at what I doing, because it seems that my poor kids would not have nice clothes. So, or maybe I was better at it. I don't know. But old world's craftsmanship with just braiding yarn, and it looks really nice. And you could get these rows nice and tight. This keeps getting stuck over here. But I'm sure they've done this. I know they used to do this a lot in Scotland and different places in medieval times, and through I'm sure it was way more than the English that did this. I'm positive, because I mean they had some kind of yarn. I'm not sure. I would have to look that up. But I guess this would be a cross between embroidery and yarn work, and you just put it together. That's what I like to try to simplify my life in some ways. And if you think of it in a real basic way, you don't get overwhelmed by things. Because if you start getting overwhelmed, this is what happens. I don't try to overwhelm myself at all. And you gotta try to keep yourself in perspective with things too. Because some things in the world will literally, if you let things bother you and let people and events bother you, it will. And then those people won. I mean, sometimes you gotta work your way through this yarn. And for some reason, this just doesn't want to be on this end. So we're just gonna cut this again. And I'm gonna restring this, because sometimes these things happen. I'm gonna restring this. See, I would have had the book of Ezra going in the stream, but sometimes I know there's no filters over here, and you're not supposed to have a stream within a stream. I mean, so I'm trying not to break any rules, so. I know that it's on YouTube, the book of Ezra, and you could always look at it and get your own take of it, and maybe just not listen to my views, but I'm just giving my opinion. But write in the comments below what you think about the book of Ezra. I think it's a very beautiful book. A very good depiction of Jesus and his life and the Bible and stuff. To me, I think it's a nice depiction. But I guess if you didn't believe in Jesus, it could be an issue. It always loops under something when it gets too much. I guess if you didn't believe in that kind of thing, it would bother you. But to me, I mean, it doesn't. I could read any Bible, and to me, one thing intersects all others. And it really does. I mean, Allah's God. It's just he has many different names. He really does. Or she. We all are our own. Oh my god, this just does not want to cooperate today. There you go. But I believe we're all one and we all have a piece of that puzzle. I only have a piece, I don't have it all. That's why in the world we need different people to bring us together and not argue about one thing and say this is this way and that's it. We need people to help bring light to the situation and say, you know what? This is a piece and that's a piece. And that's it. I mean, we dominate each other, we're not nice to each other. And as a species, we're just not hitting good standards. And it's sad that it has to be like this. Because being a mother, I understand how it is to have a child and to bring a child into the world and then just have the world doing bad things. It's heartbreaking. And it just always goes on that edge, no matter what I do. And I feel bad for mothers because I feel bad for my kids having to be in this world the way it is. And to me, it makes me sad. And it truly does. I just don't think it needs to be exactly like this. But it is. All the same. And it does really truly make me sad. I'm just going to finish this up in here and just bunch this and sew all this together. I like to do that for every row. And of course, I gotta always hit this edge. I don't understand why I have to keep hitting this edge. I mean, I guess I just wish it wasn't, everything had to be so violent. I don't think any God that's a good God would want all this arguing. And I just feel it's sad that children are subjected to such things. And it really does truly make me sad that children have to be subjected to all the saddest behavior. And I wish the world wasn't like this. But I truly don't know what I could do to change any of this. So I just sit here and braid my yarn and hope the world was a better place. I mean, because literally that's all I could do. And I had an idea. I'm going to take all this and swirl this around this way and sew it into all this loose ends here. Try to create over here a little better. Because all these frayed ends. Because the world is a really nice, it could be a really nice world if people got along. It really could. And the fact that people don't and it just all this chaos happens, it brings tears to my eyes. That it just has to come to this. I mean, we literally have beautiful things in this world that are just being tortured, I guess, in a sense. We got all these drugs, man made drugs, and everything else. There's this all this bad in the world. and then all you hear is God's gonna help. God's gonna help. I get God's probably gonna help, but God probably is tired of all the violence. I would think I would be tired of the violence. I would be tired of ever all the time when you're, I don't know, if somebody's getting disemboweled or shot in the head, mentioning God's name. I mean, if you're gonna commit an act of murder, don't mention God's name while you do it. He don't want you to do that. He's about life, not death. If anything, mention the Reaper's name. He's the only one that would be interested in the people you're killing. That's what I would think. And he would just be interested if you're killing the right people for God. That's what I would think. But it does irk me a little that everybody just mentions God's name as they're killing people. And it's just a very sad thing. I don't like it. I mean, there's nothing I can do about it. If you're going to kill in the name of God, then I guess you're going to kill in the name of God, and there's literally nothing I can do about it. But I can hope you're not, but if you are, you are. I mean, people are going to defend themselves, but there has to be a more peaceful way of doing things. I mean, I would think that the peaceful God is all about peace. And there's nothing peaceful in torture and killing people in the name of a nice God. Because he doesn't want that. I would assume he doesn't, or she, or just the light being. They wouldn't. I mean, I would think if it's a peaceful God, they'd want you to get along somehow, respect life in some manner. I mean, what if the whole reason we were here was just a test to see if we're truly good or bad? I mean, often I think this. I really do. Because a truly good person isn't going to want to do bad things in the name of good. I mean, if you're forced to do something bad in the name of good, I don't see how that could go against you. That sin, I believe, would only go on the person that made you do it. And that really is why free will is so important. Because if you take away someone's free will and you make them do something that really isn't right, but you're kind of making them do it, well, my friend, that sin is not theirs. And whatever grief you gave them is coming back. So that's how I feel about the world in light of that. Alright, get this in here. I'm gonna try to get some of this done. It's getting there. It really is. Little by little, I'm gonna get this pot holder done. And I'm not trying to fund anybody. I'm just a peaceful person that lives in a world where people are just super not nice. They're hurting each other all the time. I see animals abused, people abused. And a lot of times, nobody seems to really truly care, which is the saddest part of all. And that really makes me sad. That's why good people are getting becoming a percentage of not coming around. I mean, I want to stay good because I'm never going to be like them. And if I have to have my little blogs all the time to prove that life isn't so horrible, then that's what I'll do. Okay, this is definitely the bottom because it's like all kind of yucky on this one. But like I said, I'm not trying to offend anybody. I just give my worldly views, just like it's just an opinion. And I do understand in self defense, but I feel bad that people have to personally give their life just so their family can live when it was their God given right to live and for their family to live. Water was put on this earth for them, and some people don't have access to it, and people keep it for the rich people or whatever. Just people hoard things, and people go without in the world. People yell about homeless people and make fun of them. Any of us could be homeless at any time. You got books being banned. And then people talk about these chips and everything, and world domination happening, and end of the world happening. And they'll say, this is why this happened, this is why that happens. And it just really, truly makes me sad. And I just wish things could be better. But honestly, I may never it may never be like, I mean, it may never be good, but I'm hoping it's good. I'm trying to make things better by giving nice blogs and things. Because I do try. That I do. I try every day to give these good blogs and stuff to try to spread peace. If I do, if I don't, at least I tried. And I figure with social media, it's a little bit easier to try to spread peaceful acts. And then hopefully some people go, this is a really good idea. I'm going to be peaceful. I'm not going to try to kill people. I'm not going to try to do this. I'm not going to try to do that. This is literally my hope in all of the world, and I got some time on my hands. So instead of sitting here watching movies and doing stuff, I figure I might as well teach somebody maybe some kind of something. And and this, like what I'm teaching you here, you can make a tablecloth out of this. You can do anything. You don't want to get crafty enough, you can make a sweater, you can make a blanket. You have any money, you could do that. You know, and make it. Sometimes the best presents are made with your hands, and this is true facts. It really is, and people forget because they want to go and be cool, go to the mall and get the priciest things don't known to man. But the things you cherish the most are the ones you make with your own two hands, and generally they're the cheapest. I don't wear name brand things. If I do have anything name brand, someone gave it to me, or I got it from a thrift store or something, I'm not paying all those prices for things. I think it's silly, personally. Alright, I'm just sewing in this row. And like I said, it takes, if you do want to do this, it does take time, but honestly, on a Saturday night, this is a hell of a lot better doing than going out and seeing a bunch of people that probably you shouldn't be seeing, and doing a bunch of stuff you probably shouldn't be doing. And you could probably have a nice blanket eventually or a tablecloth. And it would be way more beneficial for your household maybe to have one of these. Make a nice little pot holder for your mom or your dad or your grandma or somebody or a friend, because things out there are just not good anymore. Especially, it's hard being a woman. Women have a hard in this world. I'm probably going to end up decorating this somehow. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but once I get this wide enough, I'm going to do a little further stuff just to dress it up a little bit better. It looks kind of like crap a little bit now, but it's going to look better once I get it wide enough. Oh my god, it just keeps going to the stupid side of the board. Because you can't get distracted by people. You can't get distracted by men. You can't get distracted by women. You really can't. You gotta try to find yourself, and if you can find yourself, if you could, like, try to find yourself, sometimes you're a little better off. Alright, well, this stream is almost an hour, and I have everybody blowing up my phone, so I'm going to end the stream, and then we'll put together the pot holder again a different day. And I guess the conclusion of this, besides my pot holder, getting that together, is Ezra is not that bad of a book. I don't know why it's being banned, but I'm glad it's being protected, and I hope everybody stays safe out there and healthy. And have a great day.